It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.
And welcome into the EP Podcast. My name is Chris Lanuti. On this program today, District 124 is looking for a brand new central middle school, and they're looking to improve the other four buildings in the district in Evergreen Park. It comes with a big price tag, and there will be a vote expected in March for every homeowner in the EP. So you're going to have questions, I do, and we're going to get answers from their school board president in just moments. We're also going to check in at OSF Little Company of Mary, a unit that doesn't do what the doctors and nurses do exactly, but their role is very important. They're unsung heroes, and they are celebrating a special week for the chaplains over at OSF in Evergreen Park. Quick reminder for you, Porter Cullen's over on 99th Street. Great place to hang out, especially in the fall weather. They have pairings they do each and every month. I got to point out the Meet Me in EP. It's a combo, but it's a much better version of a Chicago combo. I'm talking about the Italian sausage, the Italian beef with sauteed red and green peppers, red onions, shredded mozzarella cheese, house-made marinara, on a fresh hoagie roll with giardiniera on the side, Parmesan fries with garlic aioli to dip them in, and they're pairing that with a 312. That's one of their many pairings. Check them all out at portercullens.com. As we dive into our opening interview, a quick note for you. Sometimes I record these and something's going on current event-wise, and I may not have all the facts. There's going to be a point where I bring up what happened over at the Walmart. There was a shooting over there, and Evergreen Park Police did a wonderful job. At the time that I did the interview, my belief was the suspect was apprehended on scene. We now know that didn't happen, but it was within about 20 minutes of the actual incident that they were able to track him down. Still an excellent job by Evergreen Park Police handling an incident that could have been a lot worse and getting the guy who has allegedly committed the crime. So that's going to be referenced. I didn't want to take it out because I was slightly off on my reporting because things change as the days continue and more information comes out, because we're making a pretty solid point, I think, at that point in the interview with our guest from District 124. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Also, from what I understand, instead of it being $77 million for just Central Middle School, it will come in at 74. So $3 million less. That's good news. So those are the only notes I have of the interview that you are about to hear. Make sure you're subscribed to the EP Podcast. Remember, there's video right now on Facebook and YouTube if you prefer to watch everything that we're doing. And eventually soon, you'll get to see that across all podcast players. Subscribe and enjoy. Welcome in to the EP Podcast. And joining me on the EP Podcast right now, Michael Aumiller. He is the president of District 124's School District. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for coming on. We got a lot to talk about because I'm getting text messages.
I believe it.
And I'm pretty sure everybody else in Evergreen Park is getting text messages that there's meetings, there's resolutions, there's something that is supposedly going to end up on the ballot. You guys are going for a big price tag. You want to replace Central Middle School. And from what I understand, you were telling me make improvements is to all four of the grammar schools as well. Tell me what the big project is that people are getting text messages about over the last week or so in Evergreen Park.
Sure. So the big project, of course, is Central Middle School and the dire situation concerning safety, security, and space at that building. Additionally, when you look at all the elementary schools, I mean, we've got our kids in trailers. We have teachers on carts. We have mold situations. We have HVAC situations, climate control situations. The reality is that all of our buildings, while they have been very dutifully maintained by our great staff, are at the end of their service life. And it's unfortunate that they are kind of hitting that service life ending all at the same time, but that's the situation we find ourselves in. So after a 3-year process of working with our architects, our bonding agent, legal, community members, our staff, of course, the Board of Education was involved. We've come together with this package of comprehensive solutions that we are pitching to the community right now that address all of those issues at once. if you're feeling sticker shock about the price, I completely understand. We felt it too.
I mean, I was on that task force. You did a citizens task force where you brought in people of all ages, of all different backgrounds across Evergreen Park. And I was honored that you thought the podcast guy would be somebody that you wanted to have in there. And I listened to it from a perspective of somebody who, I've never made a secret about it. I sent all my kids to private school. Yeah. So I sent my kids to Redeemer. The little guy, Nicholas, spent a year at Southwest. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, and I want to say it was the first grade. I'm not sure which grade he was in when he was at the time, but he spent 1 year at Southwest, and then he was over at Most Holy Redeemer. So in terms of the facilities, my family has never used the facilities except for that 1 year. Okay. And so I kind of came at it from the perspective of, okay, what's this going to cost me? Sure. And because it's going to cost everybody. It's not just if you have a kid in the school, right. It's going to cost everybody. So you're looking at a new school at Central, and you're looking at additions to try to create more space at the other four grammar schools that are in the four different quadrants. What's the total cost that you're trying to get?
$109.8 million.
Okay. And how do I figure out what that costs me?
Great question. So we've set up a landing page for people that have questions seeking more information, d124.org/proposal.
Okay.
Lots of comprehensive FAQs on there, virtual tours of the building so you can see the state of the buildings yourselves. And there's also a tax impact calculator on there. I'd recommend everybody to use it just to see what it's going to cost you. I just think it's part of a due diligence process for any voter to understand what it's going to cost you. You go in there, punch in your fair market value. I'd recommend that you go to the Cook County Assessor's website to get that value.
Well, that's how they figure out your taxes. Like, they don't figure out your taxes based off Zillow. Like, I just sold a house in Evergreen Park, right? I've talked about that on the show. And when I sold it, I got a lot more than what it had been appraised for. I got a lot more than what it had been assessed for. So the thing is, your Zillow costs don't go off of that. You're saying go off of what the county's going off of when they figure out your taxes.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so that breaks it out per household. And just like as an example, mine look like they're going to go up about $100 a month. So $1,200 for the year. That's a big hit. But at the same time, it's important to recognize it's at that time that it goes up, and then it stays there. There's no progressive taxes there. It doesn't keep going.
It doesn't go away though, right? Like that's an increase.
It'll be a 30-year debt service.
Right. So if I have a mortgage, and I've seen this happen before, property taxes go up, and I have my property taxes in escrow. Mm-hmm. So then I have a monthly payment. Let's say my payment, I think when I started in that house, it was $2,000, and by the time I left, it was like $2,300 or $2,400 a month, right? Because I was in the house for 20 years. Okay. And so things increase and things change. So if I was at $2,200 or $2,300, I'm adding another $100 to that monthly payment. That's essentially what we're talking about.
Basically,
here. Yep. Okay, so now convince me why I should do this, because that's right. The trick, right, Michael? I know that Central is, the best way for me to describe it to people simply is it's a disaster. There's a lot of problems with the building. Okay, there's a smell, there's deterioration. I think your teachers are great. I think that the district does a wonderful job teaching, and I think is doing a very good job with a very, very old building. But the building is definitely not a selling point. It's a negative when you show it to people and they're thinking about, where do I want to send my kid to school? And if they have to send their kid to the public school, right? If this is their best financial option is to go with the public school system, this is you're not happy with that building and that facility, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I would almost argue, though, that it is the strongest selling point on this, because I have had so many interactions with people that after they take that tour, they are convinced, like, well, this is just unacceptable.
Yeah, you can't send your kids there.
You can't. And so while
that's how I felt taking it.
And so while that structure is not a great selling point for the district, I do maintain, and I appreciate you mentioning, our staff is doing a terrific job with the resources that we are currently providing them in terms of space. But I think that this could be an absolutely strong selling point for the district once we get this building constructed. And I think it's also important to note, and one of the reasons we were so happy that you agreed to join our task force was we needed and we got as many voices as we could that we knew were not members of the district. But as taxpayers, you're going to shoulder this burden no matter what. And, you send your kids to private school, you're still paying for public school taxes anyway. It's not like you get to get out of that anyway. So it's a cost that I think you could liken to, I've never called the police while I've been an EP, but my taxes go to the EPPD, and I'm happy for that. My building, thankfully, has never caught on fire, but my taxes go to the fire department, and I'm thankful for that. I would argue that having strong public schools, regardless of whether or not you utilize them, is one of the surest ways to ensure that your neighborhood, your community stays vibrant and strong. When you provide educational opportunities to kids, they are not finding economic opportunities on their own.
I get the point that you're making, okay, and because that's the first thing that pops into my head. Mm-hmm. We will have village trustees. We'll have the mayor in here on the EP podcast. We've been doing this for 8 years. So I've heard a lot of it from a lot of different people over the years. What's the number one focus of Evergreen Park? We want to have strong businesses. We want to have local businesses. We want to have vibrant 95th Street. And then we also want to make sure that we have good police protection, mm-hmm. right? Like there was just recently the shooting that was over at the Walmart.
Yeah.
The way I reacted to it was when I saw the news as it was breaking that there was a shooting over there. First of all, the bad guy got caught like immediately mm-hmm. because of the police presence that was there. And luckily nobody was killed. Like you have a violent crime that would have gone very differently if you didn't have a very good police force that was on top of things that were over there.
Exactly.
That's why it isn't as tragic as it could have been. It's a shocking thing. Oh, that's terrible over there on Western Avenue. But on the other hand, you see the police responses there. And with public schools, if you have a poor public school system, you have people less likely to want to move in.
Yep.
You actually can decrease the value of your home, and that Zillow listing that may be telling you right now you're worth $350,000, $400,000 for your home may start decreasing mm-hmm. if the school system is deteriorating and there's no longer a need or a want or desire for people to move into or buy in Evergreen Park. So what you're trying to say is, yeah, your property taxes may go up, but this may actually increase the value of your home or at least stop it from decreasing long term. It's a big picture thing to try to convince people.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, there's a lot of different arguments that can be made. There's that argument, which I think is also like it acts as a buoy on property values because it kind of keeps the floor at a certain level for you. And, to the point about the police response to the shooting, they did a terrific job, and a well-funded police department is terrific. But I think they'll tell you a lot of their responses are almost always reactive. And one of the best proactive approaches you can take to crime and the things that come along with that is a strong school system. I think the thing that is most challenging for a lot of people, regardless of whether or not you utilize the public school system, is, hey man, my taxes just went up like a crazy amount. The reassessment that went through was really tough.
Yeah, this is bad timing.
It is.
I mean, you get that, right? I mean, this is rough timing.
I mean, look, mine went
up $100 a month already with the reassessment.
Same.
Yeah.
And my preference would be to not even be bringing this right now. I think the biggest challenge is trying to explain to people that like this is not a situation where we could lock in the price now and be like, hey, let's let everybody recover for 2 or 3 years, and then we'll start doing the build. I would love that magic wand solution. Frankly, I'd love the magic wand solution where I'm, going whoop, whoop, and then all of a sudden, all I've got to do is make a renovation plan for a building that's 30 years old instead of a building that's 99 years old. Regrettably, we're living in reality and we're not living in our happy place, right? I would love to be able to also just tell people that like, hey, we do this work and we're good to go. But if we get a no vote on it, which is honestly the best part of this process to me. So maybe this is a good time for me to zoom out and inform everybody. So the Board of Education intends to bring a vote in December to put a ballot question on for March 17, 2026.
So when you go to the polls on primary day, March 17th.
Yes.
And we always talk about how local is the most important thing.
The most important election.
On, and there's not enough turnout for it. But This resolution will be on the ballot. That's your intention on the 17th.
Yes.
People will be able to vote as to whether or not they approve or they disapprove of this plan. If the plan goes through, then you will see these new improvements and you will see the rise in taxes affecting everybody individually based upon what your assessment is. If it's shot down, then you don't get what you're asking for.
Right.
And what you're asking for, to kind of surmise it, is to rebuild Central and then to add space because of the mobile things that are over at the 4 grammar schools, correct? Okay. So if it doesn't go through, Central's still falling apart. So what do you have to do then moving forward?
Sure. So a part of our due diligence process was to look at, like, we had to do that contingency. What do we need to do? It would be great if we pass this, but if we don't, what do we have to do to keep that building safe and habitable? And the two projects that we have to do are a new roof and a complete revamp of the HVAC system that's there.
And what's the cost of that?
$30 million.
And what's the cost of Central alone?
$77 million. So we're talking about half the cost of a new building anyway for the work that needs.
And do you have to get a bond for that and another resolution?
We would have to bond for that anyway, because the way that Illinois law is written, we can't, nor would we even want to raise taxes in that way.
Right.
Truthfully, and it's so strange to find myself in a situation where I'm like advocating for voluntarily raising our taxes, because that's like anathema to everything that I'm about philosophically when it comes to politics. But
I think we get taxed too much. I don't know if you've heard Rick Ryan on here.
Right?
Every time Rick Ryan comes in here, our state representative, I yell at him about the taxes.
Good.
And I basically get him to say, we're going to take care of it, Chris, because that's the one thing I yell about constantly.
I can't even imagine how many times he's told that too, because it feels like, especially living in Cook County, like it comes from every single direction. But at the same time, my greatest concern is continually kicking the can down the road, handing off problems year after year. And what we're talking about is not a lack of like a recreation center. I love our rec center. I'm not bashing it whatsoever. I love it. It's a beautiful building. But it is, to me, not an essential building, right? What I think is so challenging is like with education and what it provides to our community. I mean, to be corny for a minute, we're building tomorrow. And especially in EP where people stay and they grow their families, and then their grandkids end up going there and going to the same schools. We are really building EP and its future. Are these the tools we're going to use to build our future?
Right.
Are these the resources we're going to give 30 years from now EP? It makes me sick thinking about the idea of handing off a 120-year-old Central Middle School to somebody.
Well, here, illustrate this to me. Let's just look at Central. And what is the difference if you would have done this, let's say 5-10 years ago? And what is the difference in the cost if you wait 5-10 years?
Sure. So when we first started looking at the process, so Central is going to be about 112,000 square feet. We were looking at a 120,000 square foot building as like our comp. We're actually using the Aero facility that got built. I think they finished breaking ground on that in 2021 or 2022. I think their first year was around there. That was $50 million. So that was our comp. From then to now, and
how much time?
It's been 3 years.
3 years. So in 3 years now, you're saying it went from $50 million for that size building to 77.
To 77. So we're talking about over a 33% increase.
And that is because of...
We've got, inflation has been going and doing its thing. Labor costs are not really ever going to go down.
Materials got bad after COVID.
Materials, tariffs, these things are all impacting prices with a lot of pressure forcing them up. The risk of waiting is getting to be that number to me is the scarier number, because this work doesn't go away. I haven't met anybody yet that's come up and said like, you guys don't need a new school. This is ridiculous. Like it's fine. You're just shooting for the moon here. All the arguments I get against, which I completely understand and I feel are valid, are this is a big hit after we just got hit. So I'm not unsympathetic to that, but I'm like, yeah. And just imagine the size of that hit. The scope of work's not going anywhere.
Right. If it increases, you wait 5 years, you can see those other costs go up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've got very real safety concerns in these buildings too. My big concern at the elementary schools is those trailers. They are not secure. And we're talking either severe weather or, God forbid, like a school shooting incident. And we've got 40-ish kids out in these trailers, like at any given time, depending on like what day it is and what block is occurring at that time. We've got a preschool section out there. We got a bunch of little kids out there. We've had someone attempt to break into the trailers before. And this was, after school hours overnight.
God,
but it was
just
still
scared the heck out of me there.
Hey, man, it's scary to think about.
Yeah.
If they can get in, who's to say that they wouldn't just sit there and hang out until the morning? These are things that are horrible what ifs. And I'm not even trying to like make it a scare tactic, but like it's something that I constantly think about as a board member. I'm charged with the safety of these kids.
Is the reason for this, and I know it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, but it feels like, there was a point when classes started getting bigger years ago. Mm-hmm. There was a point when they knew that these aren't going to be temporary out there, these things. These are going to become permanent parts of the building. There was a point when Central wasn't almost 100 years old where it was starting to deteriorate. Like this just didn't happen yesterday.
Right.
I mean, are you surprised? You haven't been, how long have you been board president?
I've been board president since May of this year. But
okay, so you're new to the whole presidency, and you've been on the board for how long?
4 years.
4 years. Okay. So, I mean, like, do you sit there and go, where was the move to make an improvement on this 10, 15, 20 years ago? Because if it would have been done to at least one of these facilities,
right,
then you wouldn't have all of them in peril at the same time at this moment.
You know, I appreciate the Monday morning quarterback analogy because I really hate feeling like I'm trashing previous boards because you have so many different unique challenges that you have to try and address and answer while you're sitting in those seats. The reality is, though, is that something at any one of them should have and could have been done at any point, right? We as part of our process, we dug up some records. Apparently, there was an initial push to do a new middle school for Central in the early 90s. I want to say it was like 92 or 93 were the planning documents that I saw. And the cost of the building then was going to be $8 million. So, you know, inflation.
Oh my God, I want a time machine.
Yeah, inflation is a hell of a drug, Chris. And so there's that issue.
Crazy.
And then whenever we try to address an issue or a structural challenge at any one of our elementary schools, for better or worse, like I love my neighborhood school. And I know that a lot of parents feel the exact same way. But if you're going to be doing substantive work to one building and not others, this causes this FOMO and this like, well, why them and not us? And then it creates this, and I'm guessing here because like I wasn't part of these boards, so I don't want to like suppose like what their mentality was, but I don't know if it was we're not willing to deal with the pushback of like working on one and not working on the others.
Right, but now you got to work on all of it.
But now we got to do them all.
Now you got to do everything at once. I mean, it's crazy to me. And what you're trying to say here, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're trying to say we got to take care of these things now because you don't want to have to hear the next guy that takes over your position 20 years from now on a podcast or a radio broadcast, whatever else is going to be new, going, I don't know why these people didn't take care of us back in 2025, right?
I don't.
I mean, that's the thing I'm starting to get from you is that somebody at some point will have to take care of it.
Exactly. And I think that the big thing to remember here is when we raise the floor, we all rise. You know, putting this work in now is going to be so important to securing our children's future and just the vibrancy of our community going forward. I'm grateful that we have so many terrific private school options for people, but the reality is if we're talking about pricing and cost, that's an additional cost that a lot of people can't bear. And when you let public schools go down the drain, I mean, one of the things that I think we all love about EP is like we love the small town feel, right? We love the communal aspect of it, but maybe I'm just speaking for me, but I love that Chicago is right there. I love Chicago, born and raised. I love being able to go see my teams play live. I love the amenities that are there, going to see shows. We like being that close to the city of Chicago. It's our major boundary on 3 of our sides. There's other communities that are not so different in that way, positioned geographically almost identically. Berwyn, Maywood, Cicero. Their outcomes are very different than ours.
They're not the same as Evergreen Park.
Yeah.
I think you say those and I go, well, that's not the same as Evergreen Park. It's not the same place. And you don't want it to turn into less of what the community is that you feel like you're in when you're inside of Evergreen Park. I'm going to have to let you go here in a minute, but before I let you go, I know that you have some hearings that people have coming up. And then I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people that have questions or don't like this idea. I'm sure you're already hearing it.
Oh, yeah.
I have listeners that have reached out and we've talked about this on the show they want to vocalize it to me. And I always tell them like, it ain't me. I'm just the guy with the microphone asking the questions. But you are getting the pushback. So just kind of explain to people how they can learn more, how they can ask their questions, how they can shake their fist angrily in your direction. And you can try to calm them down and explain to them your point of view. Just kind of break that down for me here.
Sure. So I'll start with where you can come learn more, right? Because that one of the things that I've been really encouraged about is these informational sessions that we've been hosting. There's a lot of people that are turning up that they're like, hey, I don't love this, but I want to learn more. And I really appreciate that aspect. You know, it's fine to have the like out of principle, like absolutely not, or they like, hell yeah, I'm all for public schools. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to do it. But those voters are locked in. What we're seeing in the people that are turning out are people that are like leaning either no or yes, and they want to learn more and arm themselves with some information and really get a sense of like, okay, well, what is it really? And so we've got an informational session coming up on Wednesday, October 29th at 6 p.m. That one's at Central Middle School, that one's at Southeast Elementary School. We got some sports going on at Central, so we couldn't host it at our school there. And then on Wednesday, November 5th at 6 p.m., we have the last session, and that's at Central Middle School. These are opportunities to come out and learn, hear the facts directly from the school district, and you can supply us with your feedback either in person. All the board members that are attending, we're hanging out afterwards, engaging with voters, getting their viewpoints on it. We are providing digital feedback forms, paper feedback forms, we want to hear from everybody. This is not the part of the process where we are shaping ideas about what could happen. So I want to be clear with everyone that's going about what their expectations should be. But it is important for us to get a good, accurate pulse of face-to-face interaction. I keep telling my board members, because social media can be scary. Social media is great for getting a slice of a topic, getting an insight into like what a specific person or maybe a slightly larger group might be thinking about something. It's a terrible way to take a pulse. We know the algorithm. We know what it does. Enragement, engagement, the two things are one and the same.
Right.
So I kindly ask everybody that has even the slightest inkling that they might be in support of it, or if they just want to know exactly what they're voting against, come on down, take the tours, hear us out, make your decision with information. That's all I ask. Awesome. And the beauty of it is, once we put it on the ballot, you do get your say. You can say no.
Well, that's the thing. In the end, it all comes down to voting. I am always amazed that I honestly believe there are more people that are vocal on social media than people that actually go and vote. And they have the opportunity to actually have an impact, whether or not they're for or against something with the vote. It is a democratic process, and I appreciate you jumping on the EP podcast to talk about it. And
Absolutely.
Michael, anytime you guys want to update us, I'm really curious as to how this process goes, because this is something that affects everybody in Evergreen Park.
It does.
And everybody's got strong opinions on it. And I'm already learning that. I was at Oktoberfest. Man, I got approached by a few people who were over here and a few people that were over here, and I welcome it. But in the end, folks, it ain't me. It's D124 that's come with this idea, and I do, honest to goodness, I will continue to say it. Man, take a tour of that Central, and then try to tell me that everything's okay over there. Yeah. I dare you to be able to do that. Michael, thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate your time.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It is now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoken Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. Incredible small plates. They're open for lunch now. Get in there for what they're doing for lunch. It's spectacular. That's going to be the new lunch spot in EP, or at least one of the great ones that are in Evergreen Park for you to kind of just go get something for the office place. They've got wine tasting events, so much going on. Check it all out at SpokenVineWines.com. The Cook County Homeowner Relief Fund deadline has been extended through the end of the month. In fact, midnight on Halloween is when this thing cuts off. Cook County has launched this Homeowner Relief Fund, a $15 million program to help households that have experienced a substantial increase in their property tax bills. I would apply for this, especially after you heard what we just talked about earlier on in the show. Eligibility requirements have been updated to now include property tax increases of at least 30% in any of the tax years 21, 22, or 23. The previous requirement was an increase of at least 50%, so you may be eligible. I'm going to check into it myself. Here's what you want to do. The Village, I think, has a link on their website, or you can just go to cookcountyil.gov and go through the links and find all the answers you could possibly need. Otherwise, they are hiring a brand new position here in Evergreen Park. You're going to get to work with me a little bit. It is the communications coordinator. It's a part-time position to try to get more social media out there, more information out there, just like the EP podcast does. So I may be tagging like the Village, and you may be collaborating with me. And trust me, you're going to know more how to do social media than I do. I'm just an idiot that talks in a microphone in a basement. You can go to the Village website, evergreenpark-ill.com, to get the details and apply. Remember, the farmers market is open weekly through the 30th of October. If you have missed it so far, I just told my mom today. She's like, I got to go get some flowers. And I said, well, you should just go to the farmer's market. It's straight from the farm where they're growing the fall flowers, and then you're cutting out the middleman and getting a better price and something that's fresher that they just brought in. It's kind of a no-brainer. Get out there on Thursdays between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. for that and so many other things. There's good food out there. There's great products out there. There's fresh veggies out there and fruits. Now is the time to get to the farmers market through October 30th at 88th and Kedzie over at Yukich Fields. The EP podcast continues in a chapel at OSF Little Company of Mary now. I'm at OSF Little Company of Mary in the chapel, which is a temporary chapel. Sue Puhala. She's the manager of pastoral care, and she's sitting down with us here today on the EP podcast. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. They're doing renovations, I know, to part of the hospital. So your big, beautiful chapel, kind of blocked right now?
Correct.
Okay. So, but this is nice.
This is beautiful, yes.
What do people come in here for mostly? Like, I've been to a hospital before, and I've, had people that are having a surgery. So that's generally when I come in here. I need a little extra prayer.
Sure.
I'm a little nervous about something, a little worried. How often does this get used over here?
It depends. It's used every day, or I should say 4 days a week for Mass. We say Catholic Mass here, so we generally have about 20 people who come for Mass. But it's open all day long for anybody who would like to come in for private prayer, reflection, just take a moment of silence. So it's used throughout the day and into the evening as well.
There's a big week coming up. That's why we're sitting down, correct?
Yes,
Tell me about it.
So next week is Pastoral Care Week, otherwise known as Spiritual Care Week. And we're celebrating 40 years of actually commemorating chaplaincy. Persons who dedicate their profession to caring for the spirit of folks in hospitals, in communities, even in the workplace.
And I know that you're a Catholic hospital, but you have not only Catholic, but you have Protestant Christian chaplains here as well. If for some reason that you have a Jewish patient, you would bring a rabbi in. Like you're always looking to help, no matter what the denomination is. Explain to me why it's important, though, to have chaplains. I think some of us just have assumptions, and some of us might not know exactly why it's a good idea. But explain to me why OSF Little Company of Mary still has them, and has 3 of them, I believe, on staff.
3 Catholic priests.
3 Catholic
right.
on staff,
okay. 3 Catholic priests.
Okay.
But we have actually 11.
11 chaplains on. So you have
including myself is 12.
So this is a big deal. If you have 12, if we're including you have 12 chaplains inside of this hospital. To me, that seems like a lot. But to you, I would imagine it's very necessary. Why is it necessary?
Right. So Little Company of Mary and all of OSF provides for whole person care. So that includes body, mind, and spirit. So the chaplains care for the spirit of each of our patients. And our chaplains are actually assigned to different units in the hospital. So they're like part of the interdisciplinary team. They round on patients, they round with the medical team, they do spiritual assessments for every patient to determine the patient's spiritual needs and to provide them with the spiritual care that they need to help them in their journey towards healing.
Interesting. So, so the thing is, it's not just I need a priest because this is the end. It's not. It's not just that when you're doing that. No,
not at all.
No. But you also, your Catholic priest, from what I understand, they'll handle everything. So any one of the sacraments, anything that needs to be done, because you will get people that'll come in here and say, "I need this."
Correct. So we have 3 Catholic priests on staff, 2 are full-time chaplains, 1's part-time, and they will provide for all the sacramental needs of our patients. We also have Protestant chaplains who provide for the needs of our Protestant patients. And if we have a patient of a different faith tradition, we will connect with their faith leader in the community and invite them in if that's what the patient would like.
Would I be surprised by the amount of people that require a chaplain while they're in the hospital? Do you think that I'd be shocked by that? Because I imagine it's a smaller number, but you have so many people on staff. I think that you're gonna blow my mind with this.
Right. So all of our patients really receive spiritual care or pastoral care. So we make a point of visiting each one of our patients within the first 48 hours of their being admitted to the hospital. and we participate in all codes. We actually have 2 chaplains dedicated to the ED, our emergency department, because spiritual care is, Little Company of Mary feels that spiritual care is just as important as all the other parts of the care that we give our patients.
How do you keep up? It's a hospital. I mean, there's a lot going on in here. I mean,
There's
that's
a
the thing. I mean, we're in the piece of the chapel right now, but I've watched Doctor Show before. I know it's a little intense. How do you keep up with everything that's going on?
You just do what's called of you and what you need to do in the moment. So whatever that patient's needs are, whatever the family needs may be, and we even care for our mission partners. We call our employees or associates our mission partners, and we care for them as well. Chaplains are trained. They have many hours of clinical pastoral education. Most have a master's degree, some have doctorates. So we're really trained in our how to care for patients' spirits.
It's a specific calling, is what you're telling me. Like not everybody can just walk right in and just become a chaplain. There's an awful lot of training specific to the hospital.
Yes, there's a lot of training to become a chaplain, and it is a calling. You have to think of it this way. It's just, to me, amazing. It's kind of an honor. So our patients really, they're meeting us for the first time when we walk into their room, and for them to allow us to come in and speak to them and for them to share with us some of their deepest thoughts is really an honor to be there and walk that journey with them towards healing.
Well, you got this big week here for chaplains. Is there a party? I mean, are you getting a cake at least? What are you getting, Sue?
So every day this week, next week I should say, I will be doing little treats for my chaplains, and then we're going to culminate all this with a little lunch on Friday.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really good. Well, it sounds like you're doing really great work. And if somebody comes over here to OSF, Little Company of Mary, and they're in need of a chaplain, you did mention that within the first 48 hours, but I would imagine it's very easy if they walk in and they go, I need to speak with somebody right away.
They get somebody right away.
They get
Absolutely.
somebody right away.
Even if they're an outpatient, even if they just come in our front door and they need to speak to a chaplain, we will speak to them.
And is this all covered by OSF? Do you do donations? Do you have people that look out for you? Do you have people that provide flowers in the chapel, anything like that?
No, it's OSF.
All OSF. That's amazing. That's wonderful to hear. Very, very good. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. You were worried, I think, about the idea of doing it inside of the temporary chapel. It's nice. You've done well with the temporary chapel. I like it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.